As well, for you coming in as an illegal immigrant with a stolen passport.
You can go back any time.
Go then, Pete. Go, fuck off. If I upset you, that's your problem, not mine.
There is completely different thing to go and visit London and actually live in London.
Yeah. I've been stabbed and shot at, and I've been involved in crime and gangs, you know, in various forms. You know, I've got friends that are no longer with us as a result of it. I've got friends that are doing long stretches in prison as a result of it.
Do you think is it better now in London or is it worse? Crime was always in London.
And the government have completely lost control of it.
Everyone doing whatever the fuck they want, but London has to be more. And I got fucking gay friends and I got fucking all kind of friends.
Gay isn't a race, Pete, just so you're aware of that.
It doesn't matter.
You know, what are you trying to get out of me? You trying to sell me something or are you going to rob me? You know, or we can have a fight. Either way, it's going to end in tears.
So you think that was your way to get out, actually?
That's where the real Londoners live. How are we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of the Unwrapped podcast. My name's Ed.
I am Peter.
I'm English.
And I'm Polish. And you're gonna see the point of view from the two ends of spectrums, really. We're gonna talk about everything and nothing sometimes, probably. But mainly you're gonna see our point of view on what's happening in the UK, what's happening in the world, what's happening in the bodybuilding, because our background is fitness, bodybuilding.
It is, yeah. And also you'll probably get a lot of moaning from me. I will moan about everything.
Oh, we love moaning,
yeah,
so.
And I'm more than happy to moan. So also, just so you know, today we're going to introduce each other so you know who we are. We've both been on our social medias. We've asked our followers to ask us some questions. And we've put the caveat, no holds barred. So whatever they ask, we will answer within time reasons. So a lot of my followers have asked me about growing up in London, as that's my background, although we're now based out in Bedfordshire. So we'll go through things like that, and then we'll do the same with Pete, growing up in Poland, coming over on a rubber dinghy and settling here illegally. So that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I think that will be the plan, just to give people perspective of our lives.
Yeah.
So they will know exactly why we are even here.
Yeah,
what the
sure.
fuck are we doing?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Who the fuck are they?
Why should I fucking listen to them?
Yeah, who are these two bald pricks talking nonsense?
We can actually start off with, because you've been born in London.
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised. How many years have you been living in London?
I was, apart from when I was away with uni and did a bit of travelling, 35 years. So yeah, I moved up to Bedford when I was 30. Well, just outside of Bedford when I was 35.
Man, that will be so exciting for me to have a chat with you, because I made a couple videos on my channel about living in London, in the UK, as an immigrant, and giving my point of view about life in the UK.
Yeah. And
obviously, I had to give all information based off my experiences, but obviously it's very limited to experiences of immigrant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But also when I was trying to dive deeper, I had to take all my information based off statistics online. But now actually I can get real experiences, real stories.
For sure. And as we all know, stats and numbers are skewed.
Oh,
you know, so
of course
you'll get the information that people want you to get. So, you know, whoever's doing that bit of research, there's something called the confirmation bias, where they're just asking questions to confirm what they already want to know or already think they know. So, yeah, stats are never. Speak to the real people from the real place with the real experiences.
Yeah, I'm well excited about it to find out more from the original source of information.
Yeah, well, I'm not the original Londoner, but yeah. But yeah, I spent enough time there.
Do you actually guys obviously you're not living in London anymore, but when you used to live in London, do you have any specific way people in London would call themselves, like Londoners or Londonians? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, most of us will just say we're Londoners. Unless you're born in a specific area of East London where you can officially be called a Cockney. But you've got to be born, I think it's a mile or 2 miles within the sound of Bow Bells. If you're not within that range, you're not an official Cockney. So a lot of people from outside of London will just say, oh, you're a Londoner, you're a Cockney. But I was born and raised in North West London. So I'm not a Cockney, I'm just a Londoner.
Yeah, a Londoner.
Yeah, and that's it. Whereas, you know, I've got friends that were born in like Canning Town and Bow, where they're actually in this that within that geographical circle, and they are Cockneys. And Cockneys have their own language, a rhyming slang. Although all us Londoners will talk it to an extent. Proper Londoners will talk it to an extent.
That's what I was about to ask. Like, do you have any specific like areas in London where you got specific either kind of different type of language or specific slang, and there are like very specific areas, or it's just
Yeah, to an extent. So, Cockney rhyming slang now, traditional, predominantly white or certain immigrant, that maybe like the Caribbean background that have been here for a long, long time, and that second, third, fourth generations might speak a bit more rhyming slang. But then you've got, you know, the young roadmen speaking a bit ghetto and gangster. Then obviously being such a multicultural, you know, you got Polish, you got Pakistanis, you got Indians, you got Russians, you got Romanians, you got Albanians. There's, you know, people from all different walks of life. So, and then often I don't think segregate is the right word, but they kind of congregate in certain areas of London. So like if you went out to Southall or Hounslow, predominantly an Asian area. You know, if you go to like North London, like Haringey, predominantly Turkish, or Palmer's Green, which is predominantly Greek, or parts of Northwest London where I grew up, like Harlesden, Wembley, places like that. It's a bit mixed, but you've got half Indian, half Caribbean. And then obviously, you know, the native, you know, English people that live there. Parts are very heavily Irish, you know. It's the same as any major city, really. Like, you know, if somebody comes from one country, they're going to flock to what they know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you inevitably end up having certain areas that are more dominated by certain cultural backgrounds as opposed to others. And they will have their own languages and that, obviously. But then ultimately, some Polish slang might end up coming into English slang. And then you've got like Yiddish. Like, so if you're from somewhere like Tottenham or places like Golders Green, where they're very high Jewish communities, where they speak Yiddish. So I never really put the odd Yiddish word into my conversation and not realise that I'm even doing it. You know, so it happens.
You know,
so yeah.
Quick funny story. When I just came to the UK 15 years ago, my mate just picked me up from the airport. I just was driving the car. He was like, "We're just gonna stop to the shop," and we stopped to the shop, and my first words I heard in the UK. After I heard this word, I was like, "There's no fucking way I will be able to speak English," because I didn't know, but I heard two Irish lads talking to each other, and I'm like,
strong Irish accents as well.
I'm like, "Is that fucking English?" There's no way. And obviously when I came, I had no English whatsoever. You know, I'm like, I can understand them. There's no way I can even pronounce that, what they just said. I'm like, no freaking way.
There's also then dialects in between them. So you'll get a Northern Irish, a Southern Irish, then you've got the traveller community. And again, they all sound very different again. So although they're all Irish, again, you know, it's like someone who comes from up north in England is going to sound very different to someone who comes from London.
Yeah,
you know, and I've got northern friends. I went to university in Manchester, so a lot of my northern mates just assume I'm a Cockney.
Okay.
Yeah, or from Essex. I get that quite a lot. Whereas I'm not. I'm neither Essex or a Cockney. Yeah, so I'm born in the suburbs. So let's dive into what I'm really interested, because for people who's just visiting London or who just moved to London, or even like UK, let's put it this way, people who's visiting London mainly, there's completely different thing to go and visit London and actually live in London. Yeah, they're complete opposite, like parallel worlds, you know. It's one city, but it's very different. You've got tourist London, you've got working London, and you've got what we would call London.
London.
Yeah, like where we were raised, like the real London.
Okay.
Like for example, you might come over on holiday and, you know, you'll go to Piccadilly Circus or Leicester Square or Covent Garden or go and see the Houses of Parliament, or you know, whatever the case, go on the wheel. That's not real London. They're just tourist traps. Like, you'll very rarely get a Londoner, you know, unless we're going shopping or something like that, and we want to go, or we want to go to a fancy restaurant. And most of us will say, you would refer to that just as London. A lot of us will say, we're going up west.
Okay.
So, purely because it's the West End of London. So we're going out west, and then you've got sort of your hipster parts, you know, your Camden, your Shoreditch, where they're a little bit more up and coming. So you get all the sort of the trendy hipsters, the alternative community will live in those. But even that's not real London. That's the sort of you know, a lot of millennials and stuff like that are doing well for themselves because it's not cheap to live in those areas. And then as you come out into the suburbs, the council estates, you know, the what we call real London, you know, that's where the real Londoners live, because very few of us can afford to live in central London.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously you've got the city of London where all the bankers are and the investors and so on, and the tech companies and so on and so forth. But yeah.
It is like that for many people who's coming to London or visiting London. It's, even for me, for many years, London was Big Ben, London Eye, London Bridge, and then I was like, London has to be more.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yes, there is more.
Well,
there's a Chinatown.
That's only a couple of square. Yeah, there's a Chinatown. Yeah, it's Little Italy. You know, there's that's just a couple of square miles, and they're just tourist traps.
Yeah,
that's all
where
they are.
everyone goes.
Same as it'd be like when I went to New York. You know, I went to Times Square. I went to Central Park. You know, you go to certain areas, they're tourist traps. There's not many real New Yorkers living in those areas. They're living in Brooklyn, in Harlem. You know, the Upper East Side if they've got a few quid in the bank.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So London's the same. Yeah, and as you come further out the city, you've got sort of the ring of affluent areas. So you've got places like Clapham, where there's a road in Clapham called Northcote Road, quite high-end bars, restaurants and stuff, known as Nappy Valley to some people, purely because a lot of the wives are there raising the children while the husbands are out at work. Very affluent area. And then you've got like Hampstead Heath, Totteridge, where you've got your multi-million-pound mansions, the sort of ones where the sheikhs and out buying houses. And then obviously you've got Mayfair and Belgravia and Kensington and places like that. And then you come further out again to like where I grew up, and then you're then into some of the rougher council estates, the higher crime areas, whether that be, you know, northwest London or northeast London, where I lived for a few years when I was married, and then you know, it changes, and there tends to be a lot less money in those areas, so therefore higher poverty, higher crime, you know, and you can't help but be either sucked into it or see it in some way, or being, you know, predominant. Most people end up getting involved in it or become a victim of it.
While we slowly navigate toward these topics, let's say,
Yeah.
because we hear a lot about the crime in the UK, prominently in London, and like
Yeah, big city
all
crime,
the phone thefts, all the like even robbing the fucking Tesco's, or there was a pretty big scandal, let's say, because someone been robbed on the front of the Mayfair Road or whatever it's been called. The guy been just robbed from the Rolex,
like Park Lane or something,
or Philippe Patek fucking watch, because no, and obviously there is a lot of that, but
that's normally organised crime gangs doing that as well.
Yeah, but from your point of view, as a person who lived a lot in London, and I guess you got experience in to don't say crime, but
I was out robbing watches there all the time.
You know,
yeah.
And from your point of view, do you think it's media and social media exaggerate this fucking topic, or there is actually this stuff happening?
I would say, if anything, they're downplaying it, and it's worse.
Really?
From what I've seen, yeah. So,
Okay.
like, before I opened this shop, by the way, we're filming this from my shop.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
No worries. Before I opened this shop, I had a relatively successful career in property, where I did spend a lot of time I spent a lot of time all over the country, but a lot of time in central London, in ultra high net worth areas like Knightsbridge, Kensington, Mayfair, Belgravia, and so on. And like, I'll just touch on it because you mentioned like the phone thefts and watch thefts. So I got targeted. Luckily, I didn't get anything, but I had a nice watch on, and you get a gang of guys, and they will literally surround you. These gangs are predominantly from a certain area in the world. I'm not going to mention that because I don't want to be called a racist.
You will be anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to be. At some point, I'm going to get called a racist, yeah. Especially when I tear into you, Pete. But yeah, so I got targeted. Luckily, I didn't get anything because they were disturbed. But they literally came out, opened his coat, held a gun. He's like, give me your watch. You know, and
you can't do much.
No, well, you just hand it over or you get shot. You know, whether they'll do it in daylight, you don't know, but it's not worth the risk. You know, give over something that's insured anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not an idiot, your watch is insured.
Yeah.
So hand over, yes, the watch is worth a few grand, but at the same time, I'd like to think my life's worth a lot more. So just take the watch, man. Like, luckily, it didn't get that far. But even as a kid growing up, so I grew up in a very rough area, very rough council estate, where crime was high. And as a young lad, I got robbed a couple of times for my phone. It happened like, it's just a part of life. And you could be the biggest, toughest guy, but you get caught on your own by a gang of guys all with knives, guns, bats, whatever. You're not, you just hand it over, you know.
You can't do much.
Yeah,
really.
It just is what it is. And I think it's got, that side of things may have got, it's slightly more glamorised nowadays. Like when I grew up, if a couple of rival groups of lads, I don't want to call them gangs yet, had a fight, you'd have a little scrap, throw a few fists.
Yeah.
You know, somebody might have a bat or something stupid, but that's it. Like, it weren't knives and guns as much as it is now. Obviously, they were about, but they were the gangsters that had them rather than like these kids carrying it as a fashion item now. But it's got worse as time has gone on. And, you know, I worked in the security industry as well as a sideline when I was at uni. So I did door work, I did close protection. I often worked in some of the roughest pubs in the roughest areas.
How was your experience up there?
Yeah, I mean, we can get deep into it. I mean, long and short, I've been stabbed a couple of times. I've been shot at multiple times. You know, I've had glasses smashed over my head. I've been slashed. I've been bottled more times than I can count. I've been hit with bats. I've seen people get shot. You know, I've seen, you name it, I've seen it. And I'm not trying to glamorise it because I'm not, because it's bloody horrible. But at the time it happens, you've got to kind of front up, you know, chest up, chin up, and go, look, I'm not scared of this. Inside, you're shitting yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't care how big and hard you are, you're going to shit yourself when you see someone with a gun. End of. Like, unless you're an absolute maniac. But it's a part of the job. I signed up to do that. Well, I didn't sign up to get shot, but I signed up to look after people. And a part of that, in the areas I worked in, it came with a risk. Simple as that. And then that was just at work. But then obviously, you know, I've got friends, some of these people are still my friends now, who are heavily involved in crimes and gangs and varying degrees of crime. You know, I've got friends that are no longer with us as a result of it. I've got friends that are doing long stretches in prison as a result of it. I've also got friends that are in absolute high-flying careers, earning huge amounts of money, doing very well for themselves. So I'm not saying that everyone grows up and doesn't do well, but often you become a product of your environment. You know,
I guess...
But that's anywhere in the world. It's not just London. It's probably more prominent in a big city like that, but...
Yeah, from any environment, there is a way out. But I guess...
You just got to find it.
There are places where it's just harder to get out from.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it depends, I think, on your background and where you come from. Like, you know, we didn't grow up with much money. Like, my mum and dad got divorced when I was young. My dad, although was a bit of a naughty boy in his younger days, I won't go any further into it than that. As he got older, my dad got very unwell, and my mum and dad divorced when I was 2. And although he was still a very prominent figure in my life, we sadly lost him when I was 13. due to illness. So my mum ended up having to do everything by herself. You know, and my mum was originally in the army, and then
Tough woman.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to mess about my mum, Jesus, yeah.
I think it's not about your mum, I think. It's about the times we were young.
Yeah, you know, and you know, my mum grew up in quite a rough part of London. You know, with 2 brothers and a sister, and you know, my mum's sister, my auntie, is quite heavily involved in crime herself. You know, so we've seen her in and out of prison. You know, my dad's brothers, again, in and out of prison for crime. And so we've seen, there's nothing I've not seen. You know, and I've not always been on the right side of the law, not as bad as some of them, but I luckily that I had a bit of a brain on me, and I educated myself out. And I had a good career, although...
So you think that was your way to get out, actually?
Yeah, I just learned...
Work hard,
yeah,
and educate yourself. There is another way to do life.
Yeah, Joe, I've always been a hard worker, and I'm not a proud... Well, I am a proud person, but what I mean is I'm not like... I don't care whether I'm cleaning toilets to earn my money or whether I'm selling private jets to multimillionaires. Not that I've ever done that, but the point I'm making is I will do whatever it takes within reason to earn money, to put food on the table, to make sure there's clothes on mine and my partner and my kids' back, there's a roof over our head. So, and that's just how I was always raised. Like, even as a kid, if my mates are like, we're going to a theme park or something in the summer holidays, and I'd go to my mum and say, Mum, can I have the money to go with them? She'd be like, yeah, but you got to earn it. So she'd be like, right, you got to go and paint the shed, or you got to do the gardening, or whatever the job may be. So I learned from a young age, if I want something, I've got to work for it. And I've always been that way. Like, you know, and there's been times where I've been in and out of 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs in a year. Partly in the nature of the industry I worked in, but you just keep going. And if there's a gap where I can't get back into that industry at that time because there are no jobs, I don't care what I do. Like, I go and work. So as long as I'm working, and I think that's why this is built up so well here, because of my work ethic.
Yeah.
For me, there's no such thing as failure. There's only lessons. So if something doesn't go right, I learn from it. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Put those things into place in the next place to say, right, that went wrong, so I don't do that again. That went right, so I'll make sure I do a bit more of that. And then just keep learning, you know. And eventually, something sticks. And then
I think that's definitely good. We can either call it a skill or a trade, but it's definitely good to have this maybe attitude in life.
Yeah.
This way. And I think like that's what everyone doing whatever the fuck they want, but I think that's how I at least try to push on my boy now.
Yeah. And I think it's good, and I'm the same with my 2 daughters. They don't really listen that much, but like the one thing I will say, you might beat me, but you will never outwork me. So eventually my hard work ethic will eventually overtake you. You know, tortoise and the hare. You know, the hare might have beaten the tortoise initially, but he kept stopping to have breaks. The tortoise just kept going. Do you know what I mean? And that's me. I will just keep going. So eventually I will win at whatever that may be. And I don't mean that in a cocky way, because that's not how I'm intending it. But the point I'm making is, like, my drive and my work ethic means that, you know, and that's what eventually got me out of London, and various other reasons in my background. But and apart from the fact it's expensive to live in London, I wasn't willing to pay those stupid prices anymore.
Yeah.
But
just to go back, just the last bit really, in regards to actually crime and that. Do you think is it better now in London, or is it worse? If you would have to come, obviously you're not living anymore in London, but you still got your mum up there.
I still go back. So my mum still lives.
Visiting.
My mum still lives in Rayners Lane, South Harrow, where I grew up. You know, I've got 2 daughters. One of my daughters lives in Enfield. So again, I'm going there quite regularly to obviously get my daughter and go and see my mum. I think what it is with the younger generation, where it's cool to carry a knife or a gun, or it's cool to be in a gang or whatever, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the government have completely lost control of it. And they don't know, they're so lost because and I don't want to put any sector down, but the government are often privately educated, come from money, living somewhere nice in the Cotswolds or whatever, so they haven't seen it. So they have they're almost looking at the world with tinted glasses. And let's be honest, everything they do is to line their own pockets. They don't give a shit about the small man. But that's a different chat for a different day. But whereas, but if you're not like, it's not like you and I are just going to walk down the road in London and one of these kids is going to come up and stab us. It doesn't work like that. You know, there's postcode wars, there's gang, you know. So it's not like, I think I could walk down one of the roughest areas in London and still be relatively safe. Mm-hmm. People might look at you, who's this guy? But yeah, it's not that bad. Like my mum, you know, 73 years old, could walk down the high street now. She's not going to get robbed or beaten. I mean, I say that. There might be the odd dickhead, but you know what I mean. By and large, not going to happen. But you've got different types of crime. You've got like the organised crime gangs stealing watches. You've got the pickpocketing gangs targeting the tourist areas.
That's really, really popular now, and because of obviously social media grew exponentially. Exponentially, I think is a good word.
Try to put 50p in him, we'll get the right words out.
Yeah, it's just trying to expand my vocabulary. We see more of that because of social media, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and where I was getting with this question I gave you, do you think is it worse and better now? Is because I heard recently that when I made a video on brutality of living in the UK, I had so much pushback on crime. Crime was always in London.
Yeah, it's always been
the only problem. But there was this how you call it? People told me that the only problem was the crime was mainly in the poor area. That's where it was happening. But now, because it's happening in the main rich or posh areas, that's why it's getting loud about it.
Often still the poorer people committing those crimes.
Yeah,
to an extent, you know.
Yeah, but do you think it's getting well out there because of that?
Yeah, I think it is. And there's going to be someone higher up that ladder, the hierarchy. You know, like, let's take the pickpocket gangs, the watch robbery gangs in the tourist areas. The guys on the ground doing the work are just foot soldiers that are probably not earning much money out of it at all. And then, you know, that everything goes up the chain, doesn't it? And there'll be someone at the top who's probably working in a fancy office somewhere with a legitimate business, creaming that money, because that's often how it happens. The same, whether it be drugs, organised crime, whatever the case may be. So it's still the poorer people committing it because, let's face it, living in London's expensive, and often people just do what they've got to do to survive. It's fight or flight, you know, and if putting food on your table means you have to go and rob someone for it, not that I'm condoning it, but if it's that or starve because there is no other help, I get it. You know, I'm not saying it's right, but I get it. So it's getting, and obviously UK is getting more and more population dense, more people, more crime, more poverty, you know, and it's cyclical, isn't it?
I would say people are working harder and working smarter for sure, and we're slowly moving from working 9 to 5 to working 24/7, but in a grab and snatch economy.
And I think now there's more opportunity to earn a few quid, whether that's through illegal measures or, you know, some girl showing her boobs on OnlyFans, you know, so there's more opportunity out there to earn. So some poor people, you know, I know a girl who I was coaching for a little while who was on OnlyFans. I believe she still is. I don't coach her anymore. But she was 20, driving a brand new Lamborghini. And she comes from quite a rough area with very little money, but saw the opportunity to make a few quid. And you know what, fair play to her. You know, if that's what she wants to do. Don't show it to your kids when you're older, but, you know, I get why you're doing it. Because the world is glamorised now, and see people out in Dubai and Bali and all these rich economies driving these Ferraris, although half of them are probably rented and it's all fake. But people looking up to that and go, well, I want that. What have I got to do to get it?
The problem, guys have harder time to get on OnlyFans. That's why they try to rob someone.
Yeah, and a lot of pickpocketing is actually done by sweet, innocent-looking women because they're not you know, they're not. You don't expect it. You know, whereas you're not going to get, you know, my mum, although my mum's not sweet and innocent, she'll rip your head off. But you wouldn't get my mum, who's an OAP, turn up and hold a knife to you to nick your watch. But you will get a gang of quite, you know, burly-looking, mean-looking geezers doing it. You know, like, if me and you turned up to someone with a knife and said, give me a watch, the likelihood is someone's going to give it to us. If your wife or my wife turned up and did it, they'll get laughed out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In regards to pickpocket, I've seen kind of very funny video when guy was walking with a spray can in London and literally spraying every single pickpocket. Because you got these videos now when they walk around, just try to spot them. Just fucking scream to people, just hold your phones, hold your wallets and all that stuff. And I've seen the guy who just literally walking around and just fucking spraying them with the spray cans. Good or wrong, not me to judge.
Vigilante. But because the police is so underfunded, and let's be honest, no one respects the police anymore because their powers have been taken away from them, so they're not actually allowed to do fuck all. So because of that, people don't respect them, and therefore, vigilante people pop up, you know, pedo hunters and, you know, pickpocket hunters and whatever other hunters come up. Like, which I get it, like, good, find these people, get them out of the community, but there's ways and means of doing it.
No, you know what? From a perspective of a person who obviously is not originally British,
I wouldn't have told.
I know. Yeah. I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
You know, mate.
Yeah.
You know, fella.
Mate, you could almost be in Bridgerton, mate.
Yeah. No, I would say, like, when I moved here, my first 5 years, I did visit London a couple times, and I had an amazing time. Obviously, I didn't.
Yeah, for a day out.
I haven't seen anything before, so everything was, you know, Big Ben, everything.
Yeah.
London Bridge. Like, my main objective was go and see London Bridge, and then I was like, London Bridge is a fucking bridge, and someone told me, oh, I think you're thinking about the Tower Bridge.
Yeah, Tower Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, no, the London Bridge, which opens, and like, no, that's Tower Bridge. Oh, fuck's sake, and just fucking walk all the way up. But in regards to crime, I would say, from my own perspective, London did change. And for example, as let's say 5 years ago, I would go to London, spend the time up there, take a train back like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on the morning. I wouldn't care. I would just walk around, taking pictures. I used to be a photographer for a while. I wouldn't care to have expensive stuff with me. Now I wouldn't do that.
No, absolutely not.
I wouldn't go with my couple thousand gear in my hand, just 2 a.m. on the morning in London to make a pictures.
No, it's not worth it. You know, funny enough, when we were younger, a few of my mates were DJs and quite successful DJs in you know, garage scene and the R&B scene and so on. I'm starting to show my age now. You know, and if I wasn't working the doors, I'd sometimes go with them. And the same, like back then, you'd have a record box full of records. It wouldn't be like now, a USB stick. And these records, some of them are 40, 50 quid a record, some of them £4 or £5. But there could be a couple of grand's worth of records in that record box. You know, so at the time, there was always an opportunity to go and grab. So I would often be with one or two of my mates knowing that I was a big lad, I was a doorman, probably not likely to get robbed myself, so I'd carry their records.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But now, I mean, none of them do it. Well, one of them, my best friend still DJs on radio and stuff, but yeah, he wouldn't be walking down the road with a box of vinyl anymore. It'd be a USB stick in his pocket. So very different.
But I think people are more aware now to just be more curious. Not curious. Be more aware of
be
your
aware
surroundings.
of your surroundings. Yeah, but I think that's any major city in the world. Like we went out to Poland to Warsaw, or next week me and Katie are going to Prague for a few days. So same thing. Like, granted, the crime's probably not as high as it is where I come from, originally come from. You're still going to have your wits about you because it's unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
in Poland, for example, it's a bit different. Like, the crime was high in the 80s and 90s. We had the biggest criminal organization in Europe, really. Like, and crazy shit was happening. Shootouts on the middle of the streets and all that stuff. Then everything just went silent, and I think Poland is really a safe place now. But we never know what's gonna happen in the as UK 20 years ago, 30 years ago, different place.
Yeah, and obviously you've got the old school, and I can only really relate to London and a little bit of Manchester area, kind of, because I was at uni up there. But London, obviously, but again, slightly before my time, you had the Crays and the Richardsons and these big crime syndicate families. But again, unless you were involved in that world, you weren't really affected. To be fair. Unless they might have, unless you owned a pub and they come to you to extort you out of a bit of door money or something. But that still happens today.
What time that was around,
60s and 70s, I think. Yeah,
thereabouts. I just said 80s, 90s. I'm not that old.
Yeah.
I just know.
Yeah. Well, I was born in the early 80s, but yeah, that was long gone. But then you had more modern families like, you had the Addams family in London who were quite a big name and still are a big name to an extent. So you get varied, and the Noonans in Manchester, again, another big name. So there still are crime families, and where I grew up, there are a couple of known-named families of guys. Well, don't mess with them because they're one of this family, and I'm not going to mention their names because a lot of them know me. So it wouldn't be fair to.
You are the best host to this topic.
yeah, and some of them are my personal friends. So yeah, it wouldn't be right of me to throw them under the bus. But yeah, it's the same as anywhere. For me, although Bedford is home, or Bedfordshire is home now, London is home. Does that make sense? If I go back to my mum's house, I don't say I'm going to London. I say I'm going home.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And just because that's where I spent the majority of my life, good and bad years. But I left for a reason. One, because it was extortionate to live there. A breakdown of my marriage and various different things. And I always wanted to live rural, which was a big culture shock. But I will go on to that a bit because there's a couple of questions from some of my followers that have asked about that change. So
we're going to get to that as well.
But I think it was a big change, but for the better. Although look, Bedford town itself, quite high crime. We've got a huge homeless problem here, a lot of drugs. There's huge amounts of sex trafficking, sex, what do you call them? Like brothels.
Sex organizations.
Yes, the sex workers, tarts.
I have no idea what that means.
There's plenty of that going on. Not that I'm involved in it. I speak like I'm experienced in it.
Give us more.
Yeah.
It's all on the tape.
Yeah, where were they? What, are they next door? But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. And then, recently there was a young lad stabbed and murdered in the bus station.
Oh, yeah.
So look, and Bedford itself is a small market town, really.
Yeah.
And again, I live on the outskirts of Bedford in quite a nice development now. But yeah, the point I'm making is crime is everywhere. Just because I'm from London, and yes, I've experienced things, and yes, I've been stabbed and shot at, and I've been involved in crime and gangs, in various forms. But it's no different anymore. It used to be, oh my God, you're from the big city, you must be a bit tough, but it's everywhere now.
Oh no, the message here isn't don't come to London or don't visit London because you're gonna get stabbed.
Don't. There's too many people there. Don't do it.
It's not nothing like that. The message is just give people perspective. Obviously, as you said, you've been more closer to these areas where this could happen, for example.
Yeah, I think my advice, back to the point you just said, should people come to London and go to London? If you're on holiday, yes. To live there, no. It's overpriced. Everyone's in a rush. Everyone's in a bad mood. It's just because unless you're earning a massive salary, you can't really afford to live there. Back to the point, and again, something that I don't really talk about, but I'll touch on it briefly. I was on a TV show to do with finances and rich people and poor people, where myself and my wife at the time swapped lives with another family. We were deemed as the poor family. However, I was high flying in my career. I was earning a very good salary. You know, we lived in a nice part of London. We lived in Enfield in a nice apartment. You know, I was driving a nice car. We did all right. However, after bills and what was left, I was deemed as in the bottom 1% of the country with my expendable money because the living cost was so high. Whereas that same salary I was on there, if I had that out here, I'd be deemed as quite affluent. You know, so again, it's areas as well. So,
if you would have a situation, let's say your mate or someone you know from different country, for example, say like...
Just happened to have one here, pre-made.
Yeah.
Here's one I made earlier.
Yeah, but that's already done now. I made my choice. But it's about the choice. If someone would call you and say like, look, Ed, I know you. I'm from Australia.
Yeah. Funny enough, I've got family in Australia, so good.
Oh.
Yeah, good choice.
Okay.
Yeah, my cousins live in Australia.
My mate as well, and I fucking love to go there one day. But still, if they would ask you like, you know, I'm thinking I want to live in London for a while.
Yeah.
I got an idea to move to London, work in London, and just, let's say, give it 5 years to build my career in there. What would you say to a person like that?
It depends who I'm talking to. So if they're well educated with a very specific set of skills where they could get into certain industries and earn well from the get-go, do it. Because you're in a massive capital city where opportunities are everywhere. If you find them, you got to look for them. If they're coming over with not much money, like a student would go out to Bali or something like that with not much money, but could still live quite a comfortable life, you couldn't do that in London. You just couldn't do it. And yes, there are people that might work in a bar and they study and stuff, but then they're often living in a bedsit. You know, they haven't got any quality of life.
Yeah.
The one advantage of London is everything's open all the time. You know, and that was a big shock when I first moved up here, especially when I first moved in with Katie. I'd lived up here a little while, but when I first moved up here, it was lockdown anyway, so nothing was open because nowhere was in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember moving in with Katie, and we needed some bread, milk, whatever it was. And it was a Sunday. It wasn't even late. It was maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And she's like, "Oh, we've run out of bread." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just go to Tesco." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, go to Tesco and pick it up." And she's like, "Well, it's Sunday." I was like, "I know what day it is." He's like, "Tesco's not open." I was like, "What do you mean Tesco's not open?" Like, in London, it's 24/7.
Yep.
You know, like it's just, or there'll be a local news agents or whatever. There'll be somewhere open with what you need at any time of the day, any day of the week. Even Christmas Day, you need batteries, it's fine. Go down to the local news agents because often they're managed by somebody from a community that doesn't celebrate Christmas anyway or whatever. So they're always open. Whereas out here, you know, like on certain days, like pubs don't even open. Not that I drink, but you know, shops shut at certain times. It took a long while for me to adjust to that, where I couldn't just have things on demand.
That is true.
Yeah, and then when we got our first house together, we were even more rural, and we didn't really realise how isolated we were until we tried to go on like Uber Eats or Just Eat or whatever to order a takeaway. Or like, I think my coach at the time had given me a weekly cheat meal, and I was like, "Oh, I can't be bothered to go out. Let's order it." We couldn't. No one would deliver. Like, it's not that there aren't delivery services in Bedfordshire, because they are, but they just wouldn't deliver to where we were because we were so remote. Like the village we lived in didn't even have a shop, didn't have a pub, didn't have a shop, didn't have anything. It had a local farm shop that was open a couple of days a week for a couple of hours a day, and they were charging London prices, but because they were selling a premium product, in fairness. But now where we are, we've moved recently a couple of months ago, and we have got like a local, like a mini supermarket thing that's open till like 10 at night or whatever. But even still, we're quite remote. That's all we've got. There's nothing else there. And even to things like people saying hello. Like, again, walking down the road in London, if somebody says something to you, you don't know him, you're like, what do you fucking want? Instantly, your back goes up. You know, what are you trying to get out of me? You trying to sell me something, or are you going to rob me? You know, or we can have a fight. Either way, it's going to end in tears. Do you know what I mean? And then coming up here, people are saying hello just because they're saying hello. It genuinely took me a little while to adjust to it. Like, yeah, it was weird.
I had exactly the same when I came to the UK. even asking like, how you doing, mate? How you doing, mate? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm like, stop fucking asking me.
Yeah,
If I'm
around-
seventh time in the last 2 hours.
Around here you will, yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story, but this is back in London actually, but it shows a good difference. So I remember this clear, and I was only young. I was only maybe 4 or 5. And my neighbours at the time, an Irish family, like lovely, and he's still one of my good friends to this day. And his cousin came over from where they're from. They were from a very remote part of Ireland in the Republic. And his cousin had come over to stay. And we're walking down the road to a local shop, and there are 2 Indian ladies in saris just walking towards us. And innocently, he turned around and he's like, oh, can I go to the fancy dress party? Because he'd never seen an Indian in his life. And to us, it was normal. Like, half my mates are Indian or Caribbean, you know. But yeah, he just, it blew his mind that there are actual people that look like that, and they're not just in the movies, and they weren't going to a fancy dress party. Which is mental, isn't it? Like,
there are things which, as you said, you didn't expect when you move into the like smaller town from London. Obviously, same stuff for me. Like moving from Poland, from a completely different country.
Yeah.
Moving here, and I'm like, oh, what the? I think the biggest fucking Easter egg was on the first day I was walking towards like I think agency or something just to look for a work. And there was two ladies, let's say, probably like mid-20s, and they were walking in the pajamas. Straight to the shop, like small
and
newspaper shop,
gowns,
grabbing milk, and I'm like, they're in fucking pajamas.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's another type of race that we call the chavs, right?
I never heard of this.
So these are English people. Normally English people who are essentially, and I'm going to throw it out there, and I'm going to get so much hate for this, right?
Let's go.
And, let's go. I haven't had a moan yet.
Don't forget, the podcast is called Unwrapped. We're not stopping. We just
look, I'm just going to say how it is, and if I upset you, that's your problem, not mine. So basically, they're normally from, again, a less affluent area, the lower end of the food chain, signing on with benefits, but have often got no intention of even going out getting a job. They'll have that grey velvet sofa in the living room, the biggest TV they can have because it's all on finance, and then they'll knock the finance at some point. And they'll walk down the road. They've probably got a kid called Porsche or Chanel. And I'm not even stereotyping, right? And
not at all.
Yeah, and the English people will relate to me on this. And then they will go down the shop to buy their box of 20 Benson and Edges or whatever the cigarettes. I've never smoked, so I don't know, but something like that, and some sweets for their kids or turkey Twizzlers because that's what they feed them on. That's they're not a race, they're a sector. Well, they're just. I don't know what to call them. But,
that was a big Easter egg for me. What I want to touch up on is, and now you correct me on the name, is Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais, yeah.
Have you seen his posters around London?
I hadn't until I've spoken to you, but I like them. They're massively controversial.
They are.
But that's how Londoners think.
Uh-huh.
So, we'll go to his poster, don't jump because we've all got to get to work, right? It's a bit below the belt, but that's Ricky Gervais' humour anyway.
He's an actor and comedian.
But secretly, we're all thinking it. Like, when somebody jumps on the train tracks, and it happens quite often on the Underground, a lot of the times, there'll be someone who may not be from the area, not used to it, be going, poor guy, poor woman, poor family. The rest of us are going to be like, for fuck's sake, I'm going to be late for work. Like, it gets to the point where it happens so often, you don't even care anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you just fucking drive on the highway.
Yeah.
And you see some, not like massive accident, but someone just fucking drove into someone fucking ass.
Yeah.
And they're fucking blocking 2 lanes on the four lanes highway. You just, for fuck's sake, why? Just open your fucking eyes, I want to go to work.
Whenever I get on the M1 and drive down to my mum's, right, and it's always Luton. I don't know why it's always Luton, but it seems like no one in Luton's got a driving licence. If they have got one, they've pulled it out of a cereal box as a free gift. Because the crashes are always in fucking Luton.
Yeah, that's weird actually.
Yeah.
To don't be racist.
Don't, be racist. Be racist. Come on, Pete. Be racist.
No, I'm just
Look,
saying. Yeah,
we're two bald white men.
fucking.
Let's live up to the stereotype. Be racist. Go on,
I just
say
need to
it.
get a tan as yours.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I will be like,
My tan's fading, actually.
they will forgive me for racist jokes and that.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, obviously I lived in Poland. We had, in my town, there was one black guy for my whole fucking childhood. Now there is more black people now, obviously. And until I came to the UK, I mean, I wouldn't call myself racist now because I got black fucking friends. And I got fucking gay friends, and I got fucking all kind of friends.
Gay isn't a race, Pete, just so you're aware of that.
It doesn't matter, but you know, I'm talking about...
He still don't like him though, does he?
Yeah, I'm talking about, I don't hate people, let's say.
Yeah.
Same as I'm not xenophobe to other nationalities.
No.
But when I moved to the UK, there was a problem that a lot of shit situations happened to me by the black people. And say whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you will be in a group of 100 people, 10 of them will be Polish, and 9 of these 10 gonna beat you up, you're gonna say Polish people are fucked.
Yeah. You are fucked though, ain't you?
Yeah, we are fucked. Anyway,
Yeah,
but you know.
Vodka drinking pissheads, that's all you are.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to the Ricky Gervais topic, do you think, how does all these posters affect a London image? Do you think it's a good or is it bad, this happiness?
So, from a Londoner's perspective,
Londoners.
most of us will probably...
Proudly said.
Yeah, I am proud to be a Londoner, yeah. I think we just see it as banter. You know, and there are some people that... Look, comedy is very subjective. What some persons... I can't... Look... It's you rubbing off on me.
To correct you?
Yeah, it's you rubbing off on me. What some people find funny, other people find offensive.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and vice versa. So, you know, often I find the more offensive it is, the funnier I find it. But yeah, some people are going to look at it and go, oh, he's crass, he's Ricky Gervais being Ricky Gervais. Other people are going to go, fucking genius. You know, so I think it really depends on what side of the coin you fall on. But personally, I think they're hilarious. I like Ricky Gervais.
He's fun guy.
And all he's saying is what most of us are thinking. It's just a lot of people are too scared to say it.
That's another thing.
Like,
that is another, but also I think, like, let's say, give an example. Let's say your child done something wrong, right? If you're gonna go and fucking walk behind them and say, you've done this wrong, don't do that again, and you're gonna do that for a day, he will be just pissed off, and he's probably gonna do it again just to piss you off.
Yeah. I know if my mum ever told me not to do something, the likelihood is I was going to go and do it.
Yeah, but what's the difference is if, on the end of the day, he knows he done something wrong, let's say, and you just, on the end of the day, you just go and fucking like, you just fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Then he's just sitting in his head like, fuck yeah, I just fucked up. You know what I mean? I think it's the same with these posters. Like, yeah, it might be offensive to some people, but most of the people are just looking at this and like, it's fucking funny.
Yeah, and do you know what, Ricky? Obviously, I'm going to paraphrase. I don't know the exact words, but he was doing the rounds on social media for a while, and something he said: the beauty of comedy is you can say whatever the fuck you want, and some people will like it and laugh, other people will be offended. But that's also the beauty of free speech. You know, you're not going to please everyone, and you're going to offend someone. And it's something that I always say, and Katie often tells me off for it at home. If you get offended by what I say, it's not my problem, it's your problem. What I said, I didn't say it with the intent of offending. You just received it with the intent of being offended.
It's your problem.
Yeah, so that's a you problem, not a me. Yeah, it's a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'll tell my eldest daughter off, and she gets offended by it and says, "Oh, Dad, you're a bit out of order, you're strict," or she'll call me a dick or whatever. And I'll say, look, it's your problem that you're too soft, that you can't receive that criticism, and it's your problem that you've been offended by it. Now, I apologise if you feel offended. However, I'm not going to apologise for what I said. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think if more people were like that, the world would be a different place. Like
way easier to live.
Yeah, we've got too many snowflakes, man. Or to go back to London, we'd call them a melt. Like, you're just an absolute melt. and like sometimes you just want to give them a wobble, give their head a fucking good wobble, and say, grow a pair of spuds, grow a backbone, and stop being offended because somebody's fucking farted into the wind, or because that person wants to drive a petrol car and that person wants to drive an electric car, or that person wants to be straight and that person wants to identify as a lamppost. I don't give a shit, man. Like, do what you want, be happy. I'm going to stay in my lane and I'm going to absolutely tear the shit out of you and enjoy it. And you're going to be in your lane, you're going to get offended by it and keep being a melt. You know, like...
Your life, yeah. Sometimes people are just fucking getting offended because they're looking for some time to express their fucking emotion and their fucking feelings because they feel so insecure. They just, I'm not sure even if I'm offended, but I just gonna fucking say something because I want to say.
Do you know what we used to call them, where the old company I used to work for, we used to call them mood hoovers.
Mood hoovers?
Yeah, because they just suck all the fun out of the room.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're just a mood hoover.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's what they're like. And, you know, they've whereas for myself, for every problem, I will find a solution. They're the other way around. For every solution, they'll find another problem. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're not happy unless they're miserable. Right.
They are not happy unless they're miserable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you know
Okay,
what I mean?
gotcha.
So the point I'm making is...
You know, I have to fucking translate that in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They're
I
not happy
know what
unless they're miserable. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Oh, now.
So they...
Speak more Londonian.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is, like, unless they've got something to moan about, they don't feel like they're bringing any value to the world. Like, just stop pissing and moaning and get on with life, and you'll enjoy it a bit more.
Oh man, you know what? It's stupid to say. I mean, it's silly to say probably, but I had a problem with it. At some point in my life, I realized that I connect with people by moaning with them about something.
Yeah, that's human nature to an extent.
But
we
it's
all
so
have a good
fucking
moan.
silly.
Yeah.
It's so silly. If you only can connect with someone and you got this one friend who you had a good mood, but you just, I think I have to go and fucking have a chat with him. Let's have a moan. Yeah. And I'm like, at some point I just fucking read somewhere that people, there's a fucking thing that is called specific way. I won't tell you now how and what.
It's because you can't.
Yeah, probably they are called moaning cunts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck me, I'm like that. And then I was like, okay, fucking stop.
Yeah, but look, there's a difference between look, I'm having a moan now about the melts. You know?
Yeah.
But like, there's a difference between having a moan and just back to what I said, being a constant mood hoover. There's a difference, you know, and thinking that if they have a little whinge, they're going to change the world. You're fucking not, mate. Like, you're not. It takes a complete uprising to change something. Just one person pissing and moaning because they don't like that there's too much carbon in their milk or whatever the case may be. Like, just give your fucking head a wobble and drink it, man. If you die, you die.
Unless it's a good moan.
Yeah.
Like what's happening now in the UK. All the Tommy Robinson movement. It's kind of a moan.
It is a moan.
If you look at it, but it's a kind of positive moan.
Yeah. Right, careful how I navigate this.
Go on.
So, I think, look, with whether it's Tommy Robinson or the Tate brothers or anyone who says anything controversial, a lot of what they say will get twisted and manipulated anyway by the media. And then some of what they say is intentionally controversial because they want to get the click. It's the clickbait to get people to follow.
Yeah.
But then if you really listen to what they're saying and read between the lines, a lot of what some of these people say is just the truth. And the reason they're so hated on by the media is because the media don't want the truth. Oh. They want everything sugar-coated and manipulated so it falls into a certain narrative. You know, most news channels and media outlets are controlled by big businesses and so on, and governments and so on.
Have you seen this? It was happening this week, what Trump said. Trump said on the podium. He was chatting with people and he was saying like, we're gonna go the White House and we're gonna what was his words? He was like, we're gonna chant and we're gonna give good kind of, I paraphrase, a good vibe to the all senators and cheer them up. And BBC cut this part off and it's become, we're gonna go to the White House and we're gonna scream and we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
And obviously they had to apologize for that, but that's how media works. Man,
But the BBC are impartial.
man, you want very good example.
Yeah.
5 years living in the UK, I got a phone call from my dad. He's in Poland. He's calling me. I can hear in his voice something fucking happened. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Peter, are you alright? Are you alright? I'm like, yeah. What's happened? I can hear in your voice something going on. He was like, I just watched news. I'm like, yeah? What's happening up there? What do you mean? I'm just coming back from work.
Yeah.
In the news, I just heard there is no food in the UK. I'm like, what do you mean no food?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no deliveries and you don't have food and you don't have milk and you don't have bread.
No,
And
there's
I'm
plenty
like,
of food.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. Why do you think half the population's fucking fat?
And that's international media sending all these bollocks to different countries.
Yeah, this is the thing, like, you know, whether it be something like that, trivial like that, or whether it be the war in Ukraine or, you know, Palestine or whatever. I'm not saying that these things aren't going on, but what really is true and what isn't? Who's really to blame? How bad is it? How good is it? What, you know, I'm not, I actually rephrase it, none of it's good, but you know what I mean? Like, who, you know, what we're being fed isn't the truth. Like, there's a couple of guys actually that trained in the gym with me, ex-soldiers, that went out to Ukraine to fight. You know, there's a few people that went out illegally and stuff.
Okay.
And the story they painted is very different to the story that we see. And obviously they're like, well, we were there. You know, this is what's happening because we were there, we saw it. You know, like, and like, but the media portray it as this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've seen the clip now. Obviously, you can believe everything now you see because obviously AI and that. But I've seen a clip of one of the reporters from the biggest news channel, I won't mention, was laying in the Ukraine, laying on the ground in a vest, helmet, and like, and there in the background you can clearly hear it's an edit, the voices of fucking ammunition being fucking shot and all that stuff, and he's laying on the ground completely clean with microphones like, you don't believe what's happening here. I can see fucking tanks, I can see everyone's shooting, I can see dead bodies. And right behind him is a woman walking up to him, and you can hear her saying, what the fuck he's doing? In Ukrainian language, but it's translated. So you can see clearly, like, nothing is fucking happening. They just walk, she's probably just walking to the fucking shop.
you're going to get a coffee or something.
The coffee. And he's just, and when I see this stuff, that's why I stopped watching news. I'm not listening to the radio. As soon I can listen to the music, but as soon as the news comes, I'm just fucking turning this off because you know what they say: you are not the client, but the product being sold.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Do you know what, it's funny? Like, similar to that, the London riots when the police shot Mark Duggan in Tottenham, and then they had the London uprising. I lived in one of the areas where it was happening. And there was looting and there was a bit of people running around nicking stuff, just opportunists. But it weren't as bad as the media put it out, you know, like.
This topic of media and exaggerating this fucking everything what's happening. Or as you said, not declining, but if they say less just to fucking make it look better.
Yeah. Like, and it must look, as well, for you coming in as an illegal immigrant with a stolen passport, it's
on a little boat, on a small boat they call it now.
Yeah, you didn't have an engine. You were blowing raspberries out the back of it.
With my legs.
What? Obviously, you'll see it from a different set of eyes to what I will see it from as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because again, it's kind of like what your dad was saying. Look what we've seen on the media, and then you get over here and go, well, actually, it's maybe completely different. And I know a lot of people come from abroad, whether it's Poland or Africa or wherever they've come from, because England is the land of opportunity, or the land of free handouts, however you want to see it. Well, that's a conversation for another day. But it's again, you'll see it from a very different point of view.
Yeah. I can see. I mean, my point of view is very similar to yours. Like in general, what's going on in the UK? Because obviously, like when you live in the UK. you see, you experience the stuff. You are not being told by the news what's happening. You're coming out every morning, going to work, doing your stuff, coming back, doing your chores, going to the gym, and you just live here, and you can see what's happening. Look, don't get me wrong. There is UK going through a hard time now.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is, yeah.
But I'm here. I mean, I can go back anytime.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Well, go then, Pete.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, fuck off.
This is what I mean. Like, and many people say like, oh, it's fucking this and that. But why are you not going then?
Yeah. Do you know what I think? Like you and I, we've been mates. We met in the gym, training and so on. We live relatively simple lives. You know, we get up, we eat the same 4, 5, 6 meals a day. We go to the gym, we train, we do our jobs. Rinse and repeat, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But we're happy with that. So I try not to let any outside noise interfere with that. Like, I'm happy being simple, you know. Every now and again, I'll go out for a nice meal with Katie. We'll have a nice holiday somewhere, you know. We'll go shopping so she can buy whatever she wants to buy in Primark. You know, I'll take my kids for lunch, whatever the case may be. Apart from that, I do the same thing every day. I get up at 5, I go to the gym, I lift heavy circles, I put it back down. I come and open the shop, I eat some food, I go home, I prepare my food for the next day, I go to bed. I wake up, I lift heavy circles, you know, and that's it. And I'm very happy with that. You know, I don't watch the news, I don't put the radio on, I very rarely watch much telly, and when I do, it's stuff that's on demand or whatever anyway. It's not what's on telly, or it's stuff that Katie's recorded from 6 weeks ago because we've been too busy to fucking watch it anyway with work and going to the gym and stuff.
Oh, there's a new bodybuilding show.
Yeah, to be honest, most of the things I watch is bodybuilding on YouTube. You know, I love to watch other men lift heavy circles, which in essence is pretty gay, isn't it? But, you know, I'm gonna look at this big sweaty man lift up heavy bits of metal and then eat the same food that I eat every day. And I'm going to be blown away by it, even though I'm doing exactly the same fucking thing as he is. But look, it's the small things that keep me happy.
Yeah. Once I said in my clip, which went fucking viral, that, you know, I think I got this fetish of watching people doing heavy squats, not in a sexual way.
Oh, it is sexual.
But it's in this fucking like, oh, they struggle.
Mate,
that has to be heavy.
I was talking to one of my coaching clients, who also my training partner, Jack, as you know him.
Yeah.
We were saying about it. There's nothing more gay than bodybuilding. We're a group of men admiring another man body on stage in a shiny thong, covered in fake tan, who's completely shaved his body to show it off to other men, right? But yet it's the most manly group of people. Obviously, there's some gay people doing it as well, but the most manly group of people.
But testosterone is just buzzing.
Yeah, and even half the women are the most manly group of people. You know, like it is the gayest sport on the planet, apart from jiu-jitsu, because they cuddle.
Oh, okay.
They just cuddle with force. And also high rocks maybe a little bit gay, but
Chris Bumsted would be happy because I think he's going through High Rocks' stuff.
Yeah,
now.
High Rocks training a bit. Yeah,
I don't even fucking know what is that.
So High Rocks is short for hybrid rock star. Obviously, I need to know stuff as a coach, as a PT, supplement guy. I have to know stuff. Yes, it's short for hybrid rock star, which in itself is a gay name, and it's just they call it hybrid training. And this is another moan. I'm going to call it a piss boiler because it boils my piss. These people call themselves hybrid athletes, right? If you can run and lift and do the ski erg and do the rower and stuff, you're just fit. There's nothing hybrid about it. You're just fit. It's just fitness. Yes, they're the elite level of fitness, but it's just fucking fitness. There's nothing hybrid about it. You're just a fit person.
They just found a new name for the old shit.
Yeah, it's just functional fitness. You're training to be functional and mobile and fast and strong. It's just general fitness. Like, you wouldn't look at a bodybuilder and go, they're fit. We might have the best looking bodies in the fitness industry, but none of us are fit. And then you might look at a marathon runner who, yes, has got the endurance to run for, 26 miles, or an ultra marathon runner to run even more, but there's no meat on them. I've seen more meat on a butcher's pencil. So again, they're not strong, they're weak, they're not very healthy. All High Rocks is just the standard of fit and healthy. There's nothing fucking hybrid about it. Anyway,
That's
whinge over.
we can touch up, obviously, the base, as you said, the anchor of our podcast. It still will be fitness, bodybuilding. In your appearance, it's more of the bodybuilding. Me, probably more of the fitness and fucking working out, just moving weight.
Yeah, do you know what, it's funny? Just because, although yes, I compete as a bodybuilder, so I am a bodybuilder.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For all intents and purposes. You don't compete, but you still train and eat and live your lifestyle like a bodybuilder. So in essence, you are a bodybuilder. Or some people might just say you're building your body, therefore you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Whether you compete or not is irrelevant. And so many people say, well, you haven't competed, you can't call yourself a bodybuilder. That's like saying to somebody who runs 10K every day around the streets, they're not a runner.
Yeah.
Well, they are a runner. You know, it's like when I get in my car and drive home at 100 miles an hour, it's like telling me I'm not a race driver. I fucking am. For that 10 minutes, I am Lewis Hamilton. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the point I'm making is, you know, like, look, just to go back, because you said, oh, you're not really a bodybuilder, you just go to the gym and lift. You're a bodybuilder.
Yeah, probably if you go through fucking Wikipedia, what bodybuilder mean, probably I would fit in this category.
Maybe we would call you a lifestyle bodybuilder.
Oh, maybe, yeah,
so
this way.
As I'm looking at it from my coaching eyes, I've got lifestyle clients and I've got competitive clients. You know, that your diets will be slightly different because I'm not going to bring you as dialed in as I would for somebody to get on stage, for example, and push you to the extremes of an off season as much as perhaps a competitive client. But you're still living that lifestyle, maybe slightly watered down to an extent, but you still train hard, you still diet hard, you still live that lifestyle, so therefore you're still a bodybuilder, in my eyes. And there may be coaches that'll argue with it, and there may be other people that'll argue with it. Like I'm arguing about High Rocks, there'll be High Rocksers going, well, he doesn't compete, so he's not a bodybuilder. Take your dildo out your arse, you fucking prick.
I had this fucking quote once. Six-pack on the skinny guy is the same as big boobs on the fat woman.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's true though. Do you know what? And this is another thing that boils my piss, right? Maybe we need a weekly segment on things that boil our piss. Because I'll have loads of them. And only 5 minutes ago I was saying I don't moan about anything. Do you know what it is?
we are fucking. All we do is moaning about something.
It's more like a lack of common sense. I just can't deal with it. But like, you'll get a guy who's been in the gym 6 months, who's decided he wants to compete and get on stage. You know, fair play to you for that instance. Brilliant, well done. Like, I commend you because it's one of the hardest things anyone can ever do. But they're skinny. There's no muscle on them, so they start getting into science-based lifting, isolating certain muscles. Well, first of all, let's build the fucking muscle in order to isolate it. That's another story for another day. And then they'll start putting pictures on Instagram because they're naturally lean and they've got abs, and all of a sudden they're a coach.
Oh, it's fucking pandemic of that now.
Do you know what? It's mad. Every Tom, Dick and Harry these days is a coach. Like, earn your stripes. Like, I started on the gym floor as a personal trainer, working stupid hours for next to no money, right? But I did it to learn the human body and how to sell myself and my services and so on, and to earn my stripes essentially, and then after doing that for a few years, then I managed to transition and slowly, and even as a coach, I started handing out free programs, offering to coach my mates for free to learn my trade, do my apprenticeship, so to speak.
Yeah.
And only now, over the last year or so, and I'm starting to earn a living from it to an extent, obviously I have the shop as well, I think I can truly call myself a coach, you know. And I think it just annoys me when somebody goes and does one show, instantly, right, somebody else has prepped me, I don't really know why they've made the calls they've made, but I'm going to call myself a coach because I did it, I listened to what that person told me to do. Fuck off,
You
man.
know what? Fun fact is, about me, a couple of years back, that is the reason why I haven't done my personal trainer qualification.
Yeah.
Because it was too easy.
Yeah, and it's
fucking
GCSE PE, right? That's all it is.
When I was like I was trying to transition from my career, and I was like, you know what? I love fitness. I love bodybuilding. I love doing this shit. Why not find out? Not even like go into it, but find out what I supposed to do. What is the way to go for it? So I found some company who's doing your qualification.
Yeah.
It takes, I think, 4 weekends.
Yeah, and then some home study.
And some home study
Yeah.
to get a paper, so you can call yourself personal trainer
A level
level
3.
2 or 3.
So level 2 would be a fitness instructor. Level 3 would be a personal trainer.
Okay, I think it was 3.
And then level
Can
4
say
you
for
can
sure.
do strength and conditioning, basic nutrition.
Okay, so it's more
various
caveat
things.
into that. But anyway, like literally, like you pay, I believe it was 1,500. It's 4 weekends, some home study. You got a paper. You can go to the gym. I want to be a personal trainer, and then I find out actually how this fucked up is. Because actually I was thinking, if I'm gonna go and work for the gym, they're gonna pay me. But actually it's work completely opposite way. You have to pay the gym to fucking be a coach on the gym. But anyway, we won't dive into it. But
that's another piss boiler for another day.
But when I find out it's that easy, I was like, I don't want to do this then.
Well, look,
it's fucking too easy. Like anyone can fucking do it.
Yeah, and I mean, look, prime example, walk into a commercial, and I'm going to stick to commercial gym, because you won't see it in a specialist like a bodybuilding gym so much. Although in a bodybuilding gym, you won't really see many PTs. And the ones that are PTs are often predominantly online coaches that are probably doing a session or 2 with their clients.
Yeah, kind of a pro personal trainer.
Yeah, like I will, like if I'm training and one of my online clients wants to come and train with me, I'm like, yeah, come down and I'll talk you through, make sure I'm tidying up your movements and forms right and stuff. But I would say I'm not personal training you, I'm still coaching you. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference.
What is the difference?
I think there's a level up. So I started as a personal trainer, and I'll be honest, I didn't know much about it. Like, although I had a degree in sports science and so on, that was the theory behind it. I didn't have the practical knowledge.
Okay.
So I started in Gold's Gym in Harrow as a PT, literally just working with general public that weren't in good shape, skinny, overweight. And my knowledge was literally, right, you had to do a 10-minute warm-up and a stretch, because that's what my course taught me, right?
Okay.
Dynamic stretching, 10-minute warm-up to get the blood flowing, get the cardiovascular system working. And then it'd be a total body workout, because that's what I was taught. Next to no resistance on anything. Form was shit, because I didn't know how to correct anyone's form at that point, and then you had to do a cool down and more stretching at the end, and that was it. Wasn't allowed to give obviously meal plans or anything, because I wasn't a qualified nutritionist or anything like that. So I could say to you, how's your eating been this week? Oh yeah, not great. I had 4 or 5 burgers. And I could say, well, maybe only have 2 or 3 this week and see how you get on.
Okay, so you cannot give kind of legally you cannot give advice, but...
Yeah, so you can give like very low level,
okay.
Like maybe cut your calories a bit and move a bit more kind of stuff. But I couldn't say, here's a meal plan as I do as a coach, and say follow that meal plan and hopefully you'll get the result.
But you can do that because of your consciousness, or you can do that because you don't have qualifications?
Legally you're not allowed.
Okay.
Although to be honest, no one really gives a shit and people do it anyway. But but that's but yeah, so a lot of people cut their teeth doing that. And I think for every good coach, you should start at that level. You need to start shit.
Yeah.
And then you get good over time. And then you earn your stripes through doing various other qualifications, practical experience, applying things to yourself. So over years, you build up this knowledge bank, continually learning through practical and physical experience. And then you may find your niche at some point, and you may be really good at helping people drop fat because your knowledge of how to manipulate their food and training helps them with that. You may be very good at strength and conditioning. You may be good at rehab, whatever the case may be, you might find your niche. And then you'll also tend to find the sport you like. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, you'll get the high rocks people who will end up often just coaching high rocks, or the CrossFitters will go and work in a CrossFit box, or the bodybuilders will do the online coaching and work in a bodybuilding gym, and so on and so forth. And then you then dial down in that niche. And then you'll often find you start competing yourself or whatever it is you're doing. Most PTs will compete in some sport, whether it's football, rugby, bodybuilding, high rocks, whatever. And then they tend to gravitate towards that niche. just the bit I don't like is when somebody hasn't got any of that experience, has never earned their stripes, goes and competes in one high rocks, one bodybuilding event, one CrossFit event, and all of a sudden in their head they're a coach, you know. And there's a saying in England: the cream will always rise to the top. So and
we got the same. That's with oil.
okay, yeah, greasy poles. So that they and what I mean by that is, through all of these shit, eventually the good ones will rise to the top. And they're the ones, and you see people going, well, why has he got 100 clients and I've only got 5, and those 5 only stay with me for 2 weeks and eventually leave? Because he or she is good at what they do. You know, they've got the experience, they've got proof that they can, and also, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. If a client comes to me and says, Ed, I'm experiencing this and I don't know the answer, I will be honest and say, I don't know the answer. However, I'll go and speak to one of my friends who is a specialist in this and I'll get the answer for you. It doesn't make me an expert in it all of a sudden because I've got an answer from someone. I will then go away and start learning more and more about it. But back when I started first as a bodybuilder, and there'd be someone enhanced asking me questions about steroids. Back then, I knew nothing. You know, I knew the basic stuff, but very little. So I'd go and speak to one of my friends who did know what they were doing, get the answers, and I'd say to them, look, I didn't know the answer, but however, I've spoken to this person who is very knowledgeable. Here's the answer. And over time, obviously, I've built up my knowledge bank, and now I am relatively knowledgeable on that sort of stuff and supplements and so on, hence owning a supplement shop. But it's the point I'm making is you've got to earn your stripes. And whether that be like you when you did your groundwork, you didn't just turn up to a building site one day and they go, right, there, Pete, there's the keys for the digger, go and dig that hole. They'll be like, there's the broom, go and fucking sweep up.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Earn your, and the same for when my mum was in the military. She didn't just join and they give her a gun and go, right, off to the Falklands, you have to defend us now. She trained for months and years before. I don't think she ever did pull a trigger on a gun. But the point I'm making is you don't just get that handed to you. And
you have to, as you call it, earn your stripes.
Earn your stripes, yeah.
I will try to remember this sentence. And
just for your purpose on that English translation, earn your stripes, a military thing. Obviously, the higher up the military you get, the more stripes you get. Yeah.
I get that. I'm Polish, not stupid.
Well, they don't go hand in hand.
Kind of. Polish people,
you know what builders.
You know what to do. Say again?
I thought you were all builders or bodybuilders in Poland. That's it.
I had a conversation
cleaners
yesterday actually with someone, and he was asking me, "It's pretty cold in Poland, no?" I was like, "What now?" No, throughout the year. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, Poland is a cold country, isn't it?
It's not.
Do you have any heat through the year? I'm like, yeah. And recently we did also get electricity in our towns, and and some people even got cars.
Yeah,
we got the roads.
Yeah.
Some people think like fucking Poland is still like well behind, and like we make houses from the fucking mud and. Yeah. You did touch up on steroids.
Yes.
We can finish off with this.
You will finish on a nice light subject.
Yeah. I give you a quick story. I remember, because that makes sense as well. Because when people don't know how to use steroids,
or don't understand what they are in general.
Oh yeah, as well.
Yeah.
And they just go to the gym. Find the biggest guy there is and like, mate, can you just get me something? Can you get me something?
Yeah.
And I remember exactly the same situation in Poland. And after all, when I look back at this, I think that was the best idea we could do. When someone was asking us for steroids, we're like, yeah, that's sound. And we were using our old vials, putting fucking baby oil in there and just hand it to them. Because we knew that won't harm them.
Yeah,
it's way better than actually give them steroids.
yeah, because they don't because they'll end up doing it wrong.
Yeah, and just fucking weird. Do you think that's very interesting?
So it's only just registered in my head what you just said. You used to put baby oil in an old used vial.
Yeah.
In my head instantly I'm thinking infection.
No,
All sorts of
no,
shit.
no one complained. So,
No one's died yet. Fucking hell.
man, we're talking about fucking 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Anyway, let's go back to the topic. Very interesting topic.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good question for you, and probably you have to think about it, unless you've been thinking about it and you got your answer. Do you think steroids, if they would be more expensive, that would help with young lads going on steroids? There's probably a couple answers to it,
Yeah, I think.
but
Yeah,
I find it very interesting to give you this question.
yeah, no. Do you know what? It's a good. First of all, it's a question I've never been asked, and a very good question. Often I get the questions is, how old should I be when I start steroids? How much should I take? What should I do with this? You know, you're a coach, you're a bodybuilder, you take steroids. Blah, blah. What's your cycle? Fuck off. But I've never been asked that. So I think to an extent, to some people, yes. Again, goes back to class. You know, granted, steroids aren't overly expensive, in all honesty.
They are cheap like fuck. I would
However, all of the health supplements and everything that needs to go around that lifestyle is expensive. And I know bodybuilding is one of the most expensive sports on the planet.
say. Yeah.
Okay, by far.
Can I just stop you up there?
Yeah.
This what exactly this question is for. Because if, just imagine, we got supplements, we got protein, we got vitamins, we got fucking blood works. All that stuff is a base for
Food,
for
coaching,
yes.
gym.
Yeah, obviously there's way
Yeah.
more, way more. I just fucking look at these shelves and I just see protein powders and everything and vitamins.
Yeah.
I just talked into that. But what I mean by that is, if people would focus on the base instead of realizing that fucking bottle of testosterone is same price of the fucking tap of protein. They were like, I can get fucking testosterone instead of fucking protein powder.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
instead of buying fucking 5 kilograms of chicken breast and eat this shit, I can get a fucking vial of protein, of testosterone.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is what I going with this question.
Yeah,
if steroids would be expensive.
Yeah, but then you say that, like, you go into the gym now, right? And not related to steroids, but related to the finance of these young people. You've got young lads, 17, 18, 19, driving 60, 70, 80,000 pound cars because they finance them, right? And just like anything now, things are readily available on the internet. So there's no reason why they can't go and get a credit card, get everything they need from a website, trusted or untrusted, pay on credit card, and then get it that way on finance and pay it off. Do you know what I mean? So would it stop it completely? No. Would it slow it down? Perhaps. I think the problem is now isn't the cost. It's the influence of social media and the need to look a certain way to fit in. And what I mean by that, you've got like Gymshark models, you know, or any fitness brand. I don't want to single out Gymshark, you know, I like Gymshark. But they'll want to look a certain way. Most of these models for various brands, whether it's a supplement brand, a clothing brand, whether they're natural or not, 9 times out of 10 they're not, will be told to not speak about it. So people, these young lads, they'll go, well, I want to look like these, and these guys are genetic freaks because they're doing it naturally, but I can't do that naturally. Although I'd argue you can with the right coach. Phone me. That you can get there. And, you know, I often get young lads coming into me, can you get it? You know, what's it cost, blah, blah, blah. And the first question I ask is why? Why? You know, and often the answer is because I want to look like this guy on social media. I want to look like Chris Bumsted, you know, or I want to look like David Lade, or, you know, or the females who will, you know, say I want to look like Rhea Gale or one of these, you know, Olympians or whoever it is. And what they don't realise is these people, one, dedicate their whole life to looking like that. First and foremost, it's a whole lifestyle. Two, they're getting paid to look like that, you know.
Yes.
Three, often their sponsors are paying for that lifestyle as well. So their pot of funds is limitless, you know. Like, I'm a sponsored athlete, so I get all my supplements for free, which is nice, right? So that's an expense I don't have to pay for. So it's nice to have that in its place. You know, and granted, and I compete as a bodybuilder, and in the federations and the fields that I compete in, 9 out of the 10 guys I compete against are enhanced. So therefore, I need to be enhanced to an extent because my genetics, quite frankly, aren't good enough to go against them naturally. So for me to be competitive against them, I need to be enhanced. Obviously, there are some genetic freaks that aren't enhanced that just look great naturally, and you know what? Well done. I commend you. And there are some people that we think are on gear that may not be, you know, because they're genetic freaks. And there's some people that look like they're not, that are. Also, because they haven't got the right education and they look like a fucking bag of milk. But like, the point I'm making, sorry, it's a very long-winded answer, but I think it needed all of that to bring it into context. So, by and large, do I think putting the price up would change it? No. Well, prime example, at the moment, we're seeing a shortage around the world because of various sanctions on the raw ingredients in China. And prices are going up on certain compounds. I still know people that are buying them and using them. You know, so no, I don't think, as long as there is an easy access to money, which let's be honest, there is, through finance, credit cards, whatever, irrelevant of what that situation you left in afterwards, there will always be people that will buy it, irrelevant of cost.
Do you think that would only hurt people who wouldn't be able to afford them then?
Yeah, it would hurt them more in the long run if they're not keeping up with repayments and stuff. And like I say to, again, anyone who talks to me about being enhanced and wants me to coach them through an enhanced journey, one of the first conversations I have with them is, can you afford it? Because it's not, as I said, it's not just about buying your performance enhancing compounds. It's making sure you're taking the right supplements to protect your heart, your liver, your kidneys. You know, you're making sure that your lipid values are right. Going to get blood work done regularly to make sure you're doing it in the safest possible way. You know,
I think the biggest problem is people don't give a fuck about it.
There are people, it's risk versus reward, isn't it? And people are willing to take the risk to get the reward.
Hopefully the viewers, whoever gonna watch, we're gonna get this audience who are actually interested in the whole spectrum of this topic.
Yeah.
Not the people who just try to find out how much is a fucking 10 mil of test.
Yeah, and further episodes down the line, we will dig deeper into that.
Of course.
Although, yes, we're bodybuilders and that's the anchor of the show, we're just two bald dickheads shooting the shit.
Oh yeah.
But there will be
I
episodes.
enjoy this shit.
But there will be episodes where we will dig more into bodybuilding and sport in general.
Should we be openly talk about steroids? Let's say even online, offline.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you're talking about it and how it's contextualized. So you've got some people online that are trying to be educators on it, and I would argue that a lot of them haven't got the knowledge to educate, because some of the information I've heard, some of these videos, I'm like, ooh, you know, whether that be on peptides or SARMs or on steroids. But there are also some very knowledgeable people out there that are putting out some fantastic information, which will help.
That's the problem. You have to filter through.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah,
and if you get no knowledge, how the fuck you can
how do you know exactly? And I think also, you know, again, people seeing influencers and so on. So,
like you said, many of influencers got the contracts that they cannot say that they are enhanced.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you have seen the video where Doucette was talking about...
Doucette.
Yeah. He was talking about Chris Bumsted, and his literal word were, Chris influenced more people to take steroids than almost any other bodybuilder.
Yeah.
What is your stand from the...
I mean, instantly I'm going to call bullshit on that. 2 reasons. So Greg Doucette, he will say controversial things just for clickbait to get people in to view. You know, the more likes, more views, more money earned. You know, simple. However, it's quite evident that Chris Bumsted is an enhanced athlete. I don't think there's any hiding that the guy.
I think he never said no.
No, he's never said no. But also, I think to say that he's the reason for more of these people coming on it, I think is unfair. Purely because you'll never see a video of him promoting it. You'll never see a video of him talking about it. And there are various reasons for it. One, because he doesn't want to be that guy. But also, what he's taking isn't going to work for that guy. And what that guy's taking, and sometimes you'll find that some bodybuilders are taking a small amount. Some bodybuilders say they're taking a small amount, but they're taking enough to kill a fucking bull. you know, like, because everyone's tolerance levels are different, and so I think he's right to not talk about it. And you'll find most top bodybuilders don't really talk about it. We all know they're on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's more the natty brigade that, oh, I'm natty, I don't touch it, that are out screaming from the rafters. But the bigger guys are like, yeah, I take it. End of.
End of story. Yeah, I take it. What exactly you take?
Yeah,
Doesn't
and the
matter.
ones that do talk about it are normally on certain forums, like Full Bore Sports, that people will pay to go on their forum and they talk openly about it. But these are all very knowledgeable people. And then the ones that aren't knowledgeable people are there for the knowledge. Do you see what I mean? So a great place to go. But
there was a time, especially in social media, where it was very popular to ask people if you are natural or not.
yeah,
And I think that,
like Kenny Koo, the natty or not. Yeah.
that's done a lot of damage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you open this fucking Pandora box. If people generally, people will know. If you are a fucking pro bodybuilder, yes, you are enhanced.
Yeah.
Most of
There
are natural
Of course, there's natural
federations and
isn't it?
stuff, but if you compete in Mr. Olympia
And a lot of them
or
are,
in Olympia,
and they're often lesser known. They're more known, if you're in the bodybuilding world, we will often know who they are, but general public wouldn't. However, if I said to someone in the street, do you know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? They're going to go, yeah.
But
Right.
where I'm going with that is, I think that have done more damage than actually bring benefits if you ask people like that, because obviously there are tons of young kids that actually watch social media, and if you are forced to say, and you don't want to lie, you will say, yes, I am an enhanced athlete, or I'm on steroids and all that stuff, and they missing the rest of the story.
Yeah.
They know, yes, he's on, and this one is on, and this one is on. Different story when it comes to the people who claim to be natural, and you can clearly say they are not.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's
You're
where
trying
it
to cut
causes
their bullshit.
Yeah.
But if someone is, you can say he's on. I mean, it's weird to say you can say he's on, but they are on. They just don't want to talk about it because they don't want to promote it.
Yeah,
and you pushing them to say that
And often
is a
the
problem.
case, there's obviously a lot of females that are enhanced as well that people don't realise, and taking a lot more than you probably realise. But again, they don't want to talk about it. One, because they don't want to promote. Yes, it's their lifestyle, but they don't want to force it on others. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I actually quite like Kenny Koo. However, when he calls people out, they're often now not just saying yes, I'm natural or yes, I'm enhanced. They're all going, I take this. This is how much I'm taking of it. That's where it becomes dangerous, because the young, uneducated kids are going to go, well, that guy's fucking hench, and he's taking a gram of this, half a gram of this, 300 milligrams of that, and that's why he looks like that. What they don't realise is he's built up to that level, or she is built up to that level.
Throughout the years.
Yes, through years, and also, often these enhanced guys are training harder than the non-enhanced guys, purely because they can recover quicker, they can utilise more food, you know, better energy production and so on. Again, I won't go into the science, but they don't realise that. So these kids are thinking, right, I can just take a shitload of gear, I can just train mediocre, and then I'm going to look like that. And then they don't go and get their blood work done, they're not taking the health supplements, they're not doing this, and then they wonder why.
They're
problem,
missing the whole story behind it, or they just try to don't listen to that because there is way more to it. There is way more money you need to have. There is way more focus you have to put on. There is way more time, effort you have to put if you actually focus on the whole story of being an enhanced athlete, then actually just, oh yeah, I just have to take that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the good way to finish off today's episode.
Yeah.
I think we introduced ourselves very well. Many people will say we are cunts probably. Some
Good.
people will say they have no clue what they're talking about. And some people will say, oh, I actually enjoyed this fucking episode.
My whole purpose of this episode was to get everyone to fucking hate me, right? And the more people that hate me, the happier I am, because that means I can live a more solitary life and I can spend more time in the gym. Happy man. Yeah.
After all,
Yeah.
for me, the reason behind this podcast, I am the co-host, is I just want to come and have a chat.
Yeah. Do you know what? So obviously people that don't know us, you know, I have my shop in Bedford Town. Pete literally lives a couple of doors up from the shop. And he will often just pop in and we'll sit and have these conversations without the camera here anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I'm just having a chat with my mate. It just happens to be on camera. Also, for the record, Pete also happens to be the videographer for my other private channel. So obviously I've got my own bodybuilding channel and so on.
And we're gonna link every single social media, obviously, if you wanna follow, or you're looking for a coach, or you're looking for a supplement shop where you actually can come physically and ask Ed about anything you really want to have more knowledge about before you buy. Don't fucking go and just buy anything off Amazon because someone told you. You can come and actually ask knowledgeable person. Actually, that is another thing. Like we having a chat off camera. We talk about a lot of shit. And the last time I've done an episode on supplements with you.
Yeah.
And we talk about pre-workouts, and I had such an amazing messages after that. Oh man, that video was so helpful. I didn't know that, or I was taking this pre-workout, for example, and I felt shit, and now I understand why, because Ed explained this and that. So I'm just thinking, like, if we can have this chat, we're just gonna put the camera up there, and people can actually use it and get some information out of our fucking talks.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. If anyone wants to know how to dig a hole,
yeah, I can dig the hole.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not digging the holes anymore.
Yeah, or no, but if anyone like Pete is a wizard, so we'll put a link up to a couple of videos.
Yeah.
We'll show like one of a recent one that we've filmed with Pete's, cinematic camera skills and his editing and so on, and then some knowledge stuff. So yeah, we'll put links. But yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment, don't forget to share, and don't forget to come to Bedford and come and say hello to us.
And I think we're gonna post a couple videos soon. There will be, we don't have a schedule yet, but there will be probably soon. We're gonna set up some schedule, and there will be more videos coming.
Yeah,
very soon. So let us know what you actually want us to talk about.
Yeah, or moan about.
We can do both at the same time.
Or if you just want to watch us polish each other's heads with Pledge.
Oh yeah, I can polish his, so he can polish mine. We're gonna be like,
no gay though.
No, we are just bodybuilders, as you said, so no gay stuff. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon.
Big love.